שלום לכם וברוכים הבאים לשיחה נוספת של PMI. אני אילנית פרימן, מזכ"לית העמותה, והיום בשיחה אני רוצה לדבר עם איש שמגיע אלינו כל הדרך מארצות הברית, ג'ון תומפסון. Hello John, שלום ג'ון.
Shalom everybody.
Thank you so much for joining us.
My absolute pleasure, and I hope to make a small contribution to the good work that the PMI is doing.
Thank you so much. It is very much appreciated. So, John, let me just say a few words about you. You have over 30 years of experience in all of the theory of constraint applications, including critical chain project management, strategy, tactics, etc., etc. You're also a certified associate of the late Dr. Eli Goldratt, and you are a founding member and two-time chairman of the Theory of Constraints International Certification Organization Board. So can you please tell me, John, how did you get to do all that? How did you hear about it? Why is this the thing you do?
Yes, thank you so much, and thank you for the kind introduction. The theory of has always given me a foundation, no matter what my, let me call academic training is and so on. I do have a science background and engineering background, but what really allowed me to succeed was the robust solutions that the theory of constraints gave me the capability. The buffering mechanisms in all of the applications and the logic and the thinking behind it allowed me to actually excel and accelerate all of the theories, academic theories, and apply them to business. And there's two people that have had a big influence on my life. One is my original professor, and the other is Dr. Eli Goldratt, who actually, I'm going to say it this way, gave me wings to fly. Through the thinking processes, and then again through the applications, which have been production, applied to manufacturing and so on, and then again to the distribution solution, which is retail, basically retail, or vendors supplying customers, factories and so on, and then also the project management solution, which is also a very powerful tool. I do want to, we'll get into it in a minute. That is a theory of constraints. There are many, many applications, distribution, production, project management, the thinking process, strategy, tactics, and so on. They make up a full suite of services, and that's what attracted me. They are also very robust. If you were able to even put in half a solution, you actually get good results. Now, you can progress from their process of ongoing improvement, but even a basic application seems to give really good results, no matter which tool you use.
Can you give us an example of maybe a project that you've applied these principles?
Well, I've applied them in many different industries and at different times, and the real strength is in combination. So if you're looking for new product development, so I'll give you some illustrations. New product development linked to production, linked to distribution, and then to marketing and sales. So you will create sales offers based on reliability, availability, and the flexibility to keep on-shelf delivery. So that would be a robust solution feeding the marketplace, supported by a drum buffer rope or one of the applications in the theory of constraints in production. But prior to that is new product development, which is critical chain. So in combination, you can end up with a whole chain or a suite of services, one feeding the other, or the applications supporting each other, which creates very powerful solutions. So I will give you an illustration of, we expect a 95% or a 90% at least on-time delivery of projects. That is to budget, scope, and due date, original due date, not the renegotiated due dates. That is the level of performance that we expect in project management. Now, in reality, that is not the case. And you can go back 10 years, 20 years, surveys across the board, PMI statistics, you'll find the on-time delivery performance roughly say 50 to 60% on time. When you start adding to budget, you drop down to about a 40% level. And these statistics have held over the last 10 years. With the big movement to lean, no change. With the big movement to agile, taking agile out of IT and moving it to other environments, I think it's just a fashion. Yes, it meets the needs of the social component of project management. It meets the needs of descriptive project management and the detail and the minutiae, but it doesn't meet the needs of governance and progress. That element is still missing. And if you look at Agile's performance, there might have been a change over the 10 years in IT, maybe 3 or 4% performance, moving out of the mid 50% to maybe 63% when I look at the statistics from many organizations. And one of the reference is the Standish Chaos Report. There's been very little change, even with 10 years of application of in the IT environment using Agile. There's been a slight movement. So statistics, when you look by definition, breakthrough means if 90% of people are using an application, that's not a breakthrough by definition. You're looking for something unique and different. So by definition, if 90% of people are using an application and you want to have a breakthrough solution, you have to do something completely different. So if Agile is running at the 50 to 60% on-time delivery and to budget is actually lower, then you're looking for a breakthrough that'll take you to 90%. So I'm looking to contrast it to other disciplines. In distribution, you are not a supplier at the 96, 97% performance to large corporate environments. And here I'm talking about first-tier suppliers to Boeing, to Textron, to large manufacturers. You're just not a supplier to them if you're not at that level. Now that's in manufacturing and assembly. If you are in distribution and you're supplying a Walmart or a AutoNation or a Napa car parts, and you're not 95% on time available and flexible to adjust to the actual consumption in the market, and they only give you 48 hours notice to supply, you're just not a supplier. So in distribution and manufacturing, the recipes are known.
You mentioned very, very big companies. Does this mean that the theory of constraint basically works well for big companies, but not necessarily for smaller projects?
Not at all. Not at all. There are many small company and medium-sized businesses supplying Walmart, supplying Napa, supplying. These are all small companies. Most of the US economy is actually small companies. Less than 20 employees is a big chunk of the US economy. The methodologies are applicable no matter what kind of vendor you are, no matter what kind of supplier. The methodologies are so basic and so robust. They're applicable from corporate environment to small and medium-sized business. Remember, large companies are made up of basically small departments and functions too. So, okay, it's not, corporate environment is not as, it's pretty much fragmented or by department and function. But I want to contrast the performance in distribution and manufacturing. The recipes are known. People understand how to deliver at that level of performance. They use technology to do it. In project management, we have technology, we have everything, but we tolerate a 60% on-time delivery, and to budget and scope is way less performance than that. The opportunity and the margin of opportunity is huge in project management. Now, we know that technology and we know that critical chain, last 25 years of critical chain, Google it on the internet, look it up and look at the performance. You'll see that the expectation is 90% on-time delivery and to scope and to budget. And it's the robustness of the solution itself. Well, even when I say bad applications give good results, you get a good result from a poor application even. It's the robustness of the solution that works.
Tell me, as a representative of a PMI, obviously I need to ask, Does this in any way contradict the PM book and what is taught by the PMI?
When in our own company, when we do implementations, we slightly reverse or swap two things. One is we do minimum theory up front and preparation, and we do maximum hand-on application of the tools themselves, of the critical chain. And part of it is that there's two things that need to be done well. One is the resource description and assignment to task. The second is the task dependencies. You cannot have missing dependencies. You cannot have a wish list of this is a milestone, therefore this is what we have to do. It doesn't work like that. The resource application and a full set of interdependent connections between tasks is critical. That process of defining a well thought out and prove that the dependencies are correct using expert knowledge. People who work with these projects every single day have enough expertise to understand the dependencies. It's a matter of bringing the training to allow them to make those connections. The second is allocation of the correct resource, which gives you the duration of the tasks. Now, in the critical chain solution, we do not put safety inside the task at all. We strip it out. We use something called touch time inside the duration, which is a time without any interference. It makes the assumption that you have a full scope of work, all the equipment and tools you need, the space to work in, and the average working skill, and no interference on the task. Now, that sounds crazy.
It does, yeah.
But protection at the top does not work. You need to protect the project, and there are points of vulnerability within that network, assembly points. There are resources at risk. These are points that need to be protected with buffering. The only way to protect a system or isolate it from variation is with buffers, and you have to be able to put them in the correct place. That is the intelligence, and that's what critical chain brings to the performance level, that you can monitor and watch the consumption of slippage and respond correctly, which gives you a priority, which keeps your projects on track.
Tell me, John, how hard is it to apply the principles of the theory of constraints?
Behind me is a repair and maintenance program, and this is public knowledge. It's been presented many times by the client. It's BAE Systems in Australia. That was a 9-day implementation for us for a turnaround. The method is really simple. We use the technology platform, and I'll bring up the point of technology in a minute and the role of technology. We use a technology platform to build the networks correctly, assign the resources, and then we move into execution immediately and grab the low-hanging fruit of performance, because the system is so robust. Critical chain methodology is robust enough to get good results. So you get low-hanging fruit results quickly. People get excited, and then we start building the processes to support, and we go into deeper training. So that's when we do the training later after doing the implementation. It sounds backwards, but get the excitement going, show them that it works. Critical chain is robust enough to get low-hanging fruit results. Then move to, now we can really do the training. People get excited, they start building their processes, and something called the power of the inventor kicks in. They invent their own processes. They use the tool to invent processes to sustain the results. You can't stop them after that.
Can you expand on that a little bit? Because it sounds like an entrepreneur's job to do that.
Look, minimum viable product is an entrepreneur's methodology. You get results, capitalize on it, move again. And that is what we're doing throughout the process and taking a client. For instance, they've had 5 years of 100% on-time delivery and taken on more work, 30% more work, without increasing the resource pool. And all they simply did was cut the chaos, understanding the prioritization, and take the chaos out of the system. They understood exactly when and when not to focus, which is more important. Is if you're focusing on the wrong thing, you're wasting time. If you're multitasking, you're wasting time. If you're bouncing resources around, you're doing set up, set down, set up, set down, set up, set down on the same task. That's a 50 to 100% waste of capacity.
Let me just say to our viewers that the project you're talking about the Australian airplanes, I have interviewed Andrew Kay, who was part of this project in Australia. And this interview will go live just like ours will, just before our July events. And Andrew is also one of our guest lecturers, just as you are, and you will expand there in July a little bit about this theory of constraints.
Look, the basics of critical chain are everywhere, all over the internet. It's a matter of research. People seek two things. They either seek excuses for poor performance, or they seek solutions to get results. That's a mindset. If you're looking for results, you need to look at who's getting results and why, and then follow that path. Or you can look for excuses of why your projects are not coming in on time. I want to mention technology. Look, what is the role of technology? Throughout the ages, all technology is to remove human limitation and give them new capabilities. That's it. That's what technology is designed and supposed to do. So if what you're doing is not working, meaning if you have a 60% on-time delivery to original due date, not renegotiated due date, and your projects are slipping and they're over budget, etc., you need to start thinking about a breakthrough, something different. By definition, if everybody's doing it and getting the same results, we need to. The spread and the opportunity in project management is so great to get it to the 90% plus performance level. Now, is it possible? If there's more than one example of people that have accomplished this in complex environments with high uncertainty, lots of resource coordination, within the company and without the company coordinating subcontractors and so on, and they are achieving that level of performance, then anybody can do it. Really, it's a matter of application, understanding and applying and learning how to be able to do this. And it's not that difficult. It's buffering in the right place and responding to the signals that the buffers are sending you to set priority and know when and when not to intervene. And most of the time, intervention is fiddling within the noise, in the words of Deming. You're actually fiddling with the system and causing more chaos if you're not focusing on the right things. I think that the technology platform, look, the world has moved away. We used to have management meetings to sit around and manage change. In other words, we were managing change almost manually in an analog form on paper and diagrams and so on. The world has changed. It's moved to which technology we are going to adapt and adopt. And when we adopt that technology, we have to subordinate to its processes. It's no longer we sit in a room and sing Kumbaya and do change management. That doesn't work anymore. It's now we're selecting technology and we're subordinating to it. That's the world we live in. Now, if you select the wrong technology, you're going to subordinate to it and get the performance that it will deliver. Let me give it to you this way. It takes a lot of expertise to write a best-selling novel on a word processor. It takes a lot of skill and knowledge to write a merger and acquisition on a spreadsheet. You can value in both of those environments, but they are blank sheets, and it relies on the skill of the operator. Now let's go to project management. You can take a project management application, and if it doesn't follow rules, and technology should be rules-based to be successful, taking best practice rules, embedding them into the technology and giving governance and guidance to the user to keep them out of trouble. That's the technology platforms that we build. Now, you can take a blank spreadsheet that relies on the skill of the operator, just like it requires a blank or project management requires the skill of an operator, the same as a spreadsheet does. If you don't have that skill, you're going to get yourself into trouble. It's a blank sheet. It's a blank Microsoft project. It's a blank Microsoft Excel, or it's a blank Microsoft Word processor. The skill of the operator is critical, and that skill doesn't reside in most people. This brings up another point. Out of all of the management skills required to manage anything, probably finance, human understanding, some cultural understanding of how to build and motivate people and promote people, mentorship, coaching skills, etc. It all falls down if you cannot coordinate the resources. And every company has it all the time, initiatives, and yet they cannot execute. If you listen to the complaints, we don't have enough resources, we don't have enough time, the management's not good enough, our vendors didn't deliver. Those are all environmental things. But what about the methodology itself? One of the core skills of management should be the ability to execute projects, period, and do it well. It's probably the skill that's missing out of most management's repertoire or their capabilities.
But it has to be a combination of the two. It has to do with the skills and the technology which is being used.
I will say one thing. In 30 years of applying TOC, there's one common denominator. Other than the tools themselves that work, there's also something called good management. Every good sustainable solution has actually had good management. So yes, there is a managerial component, the willingness to fight through, the willingness to carry, motivate, and understand what you're doing, and the dedication to bring it to fruition, by good management. So there is a managerial component. It's not just magic. You do have to apply yourself, learn the skill, and learn how to apply it. It's not difficult. It's just dedication.
Dedication is the key to success. So what is your main message to project managers who hear us now? If you can summarize that to one simple message, which is, you can help them perform and achieve better results.
I'm going to use the development of the GPS as moving away from analog to, look, we came from a world of manual to analog into digital, and it's moved into intelligence. So if you look at the development, we used to use a physical map to navigate when we were driving from point to point. We had no idea of the traffic conditions or anything that was roadblocks or damaged roads, or we had no idea of what that was. Then we went into the first GPSs, and it essentially did the same thing. It was just a live map on demand, point to point, no intelligence. And that moved into an intelligent map. So I'm going to give you a company name, Waze. It's an Israeli company originally. Waze.
Yes.
And what it did was it provided real-time intelligence. So you plot your map or you plot your journey, but as you're traveling, it's giving you course correction based on the conditions of what's happening. Now, technology can do that for us. That's what it did. So we know to deviate, or if there's traffic jam, accident, road construction, it'll redirect you on the next safest, shortest route. Now, project management can be the same way. We can lay out a project. There's one thing called planning, definitely something called execution. So planning would be drawing from point A to point B, the journey. I get it, no problem. The next step is during execution, where do I need to change course correct? Where should I focus? What's going to get me into trouble? We have the capability with a full set of dependencies looking into the future. It's like looking through the front windshield of the motor car, where you're looking into the future, seeing what's happening and course correcting before it happens. The same way a Waze GPS is looking into the future of your journey and course correcting you. We can have the same capability within project management, and that's the intelligence, artificial and business intelligence we are capable of building into products. Now, our product does that. It looks into the future, it does all of that. But as a first step, investigate critical chain, understand that it can produce results, and if your results are not that, well, then start investigating, and you'll start to see the capability. A good, robust, low-hanging fruit solution. You can get that. And then the next step is, how do we get the artificial intelligence and the business intelligence really looking into the future, not just for one project. It's looking across a portfolio of projects. Slippage in one project might mean slippage across the entire portfolio. You don't know that because of resource contention. That's what technology can tell us. Not only are we slipping in this project, we're slipping in 5 projects because this project slipped. And that's the capability we're looking for, is that portfolio global management and coordination of resources, applying robust, intelligent technology in a digital format.
I think that was a beautiful explanation, you know, 3 ways to understand what you can do and how it basically can help you. And at this point, John, I would like to thank you very much for this chat. Thank you for your time and knowledge and experience.
No, thanks so much. And it's my pleasure to spread the knowledge, help businesses. It really gives me joy to help people stress their environment, do things sensibly, and work in the right order, because their lives can be chaotic and stressful. And this removes that from their lives, gives them new capability. And by the way, it's very valuable. So
everybody wins. ואתם שצפיתם בנו, אני מקווה שהפקתם תועלת רבה, ואנחנו נתראה ברעיון הבא. תודה.